welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about what is a fashion prototype or fashion sample and why it's important. So a fashion prototype is when a entrepreneur, aspiring fashion designer gets their vision, their technical flat sketch done of their design, and they have a prototype made. So I do this for every single client. People say, well, why can't I just go straight into manufacturing and just get the product made without doing the prototype? If your design is original, it's something that's not out there in the market, or a variation of something that's already out there that has a spin on it, then you definitely need to get first prototype made. So what is a prototype? A prototype is a sample usually made in a sample room. I have my sample room that I work with, where they take your technical packet, all the details, the type of button, the type of pocket, the type of collar that you want, all of that is then sewn and made into a sample. And why do we care about this sample? Why is the sample important? Well, this sample is your opportunity to refine your design. So, have you ever heard of a sample sale? So a sample sale, and you notice how when you go to a sample sale, usually it's like 1 or 2 sample sizes only. Well, that's because when a designer creates their sample, it's made in one size. Typically, my clients like to make it in their size so that they can be the fit model and try it on themselves. Makes sense. Or an industry standard fit model is usually a size 4 or 6 for women, let's say. And the importance of a sample is to try it on a fit model. Why is that important? Well, you don't want to produce product, mass produce it in various sizes, and then ship it to your customers, and then it doesn't fit because the size is off. So what key purpose of your sample is to try it on the fit model, make sure any corrections that need to be made get made on your second sample, and or your pre-production sample, which I'll go into in another video because it's super detailed. But certain things like, you as the designer client might say, you know what, I don't like this double welt pocket. I want to change it to a 1 welt pocket now that I've seen it made up. Or you'll see here in this particular jacket, it has this Italian style pick stitch along the collar. It gives my customer client an opportunity to see how their sketch of their vision, flat sketch that we did, how it translates into actual fabric and an actual garment. Other details like, do I like the size of that button? Maybe once you see it made up, you say, oh no, I want a bigger button. Or let's see, for example here, this particular client was all about the inside pocket, right, of his jacket. Well, he wanted the top pocket to be able to fit a phone. So these are the types of things that you would test out on your sample. You'd make sure a phone fits. This one he made specifically to fit a Zippo lighter. Make sure that fits. Make sure the pockets are easy, to get the hands in and out. Little things like that. So that's where it becomes very technical. Here we had another pocket on this side. Same thing. Does it fit a wallet? Is it practical? Is the pocket positioned high enough or low enough where they can easily slip their hand in? These are all the things that, a typical, designer starting out, business owner isn't going to think of until they actually see the sample made. Another thing, this particular client, I'll show you here, decided he wanted to have his logo embroidered on the sleeve. So that gives an opportunity to see what your embroidery looks like before you commit to a big bulk production order. So, and then the back, the vents. So this prototype really gives you the opportunity to make any changes to your design that you want to make before you commit to that production order. So there's no surprises. Another thing that's really important is you might discover, oh, the sleeves are too long, the sleeves are too short, I need to make them an inch longer. Well, then you say, well, Jessica, why would that happen if you already have a tech pack made up that has the measurements from the garment that I gave you? Here's why. Because that fabric is not the same fabric that we made your style in. So depending on the fabric, the fit is going to change. So let's say the fabric on the style that we measured from has a little bit of stretch to it and this one doesn't. Then guess what? The stretch is going to make the sleeve pull up a little bit more and shrink more than it does on, a non-stretch woven fabric. So those are just some of the things and little minor tweaks that we have to do to your fashion prototype in order to get it approved. So here's another sample I did for a client. This is a piece of sleepwear. You'll see here, I'll show you a page from her technical measurement sketch. You see here, eventually she's gonna have her logo there. You see the neckline of this. So she decided, after you see the neckline on this is not as low as it was on her initial tech pack. She decided, oops, I don't want that to be as down as low, so she decided to raise that up a little bit. Also, after doing this sample, she realized, you know what, I don't want to do the contrast trim now, I just want to make it all solid. So she decided to do all solid gray on her next sample. So you visually get to see your product made up, and from there is usually when you can decide, yeah, I like that, no, I don't like that. Another thing is, how does the material react? So for this particular style, I'll pass it to the client, she'll wear it around the house, she'll do whatever in it, since it's sleepwear, obviously things like that. And then she washed the product and decided the fabric doesn't shrink. So it's perfect, we don't need to adjust the size at all. I've had clients where they get their prototype and they realize, oh my gosh, the fabric shrinks like 1 inch to 1.5 inches after it's washed. So there's 2 ways around that. You can either, after we know that happens to that fabric, we could add that extra inch to the specs, to the tech pack, and so that you're not going to have returns after the client, tries the garment. Or you could put a note in there saying, oh, this really shrinks, which I don't recommend doing. So it's super important, to test out your fabric, make sure that it can hold up. Also, you want to see how it does when you wash it different ways. I always tell my clients, wash it in the hottest cycle, dry it like how you wouldn't normally do, let's say for that type of fabric, and see how it does. Because worst case scenario, how many people really, read those care label tags on their garments? I know for me, for example, I just cut them out. And I just kind of risk it half the time. With my activewear pieces, I typically hang those to dry because I want them to last longer. But, you kind of want a worst case scenario it when it comes to your customers, because you don't want to have a lot of returns, at the end of the day. So after your prototype is done, and it's interesting because I would say a lot of my clients, not knowing, when they get their first prototype made, they think it's going to be just perfect. And they're like, why isn't it perfect? I want to go to production now. I would say on very, very rare occasion, that might happen for something that's a more basic style, like a tee, a sports bra, a legging, but with a jacket or something that's more of a creative design. It takes 2 prototypes to get to your perfect prototype. And at that point, let's say once you've done your second prototype, very, very minor tweaks, sometimes clients want to even change the fabric. They say, you know what, I don't like it made up in that. I'm not crazy about that fabric. I want to try a different fabric. Well, guess what? It's back to the drawing board. We got to make that first prototype again, because each time you're making the same exact style in a different fabric, it changes the fit completely. Even if it's a 2% stretch difference, it changes the fit. So once you have your perfect prototype approved, ready to go, or sometimes even with very minor corrections, I can say to my factory, you know what, this is approved with these changes, with a longer sleeve. Let's say we're going to add an inch to the rise, something like that, a very minor correction. They'll just move straight into the pre-production sample, and at that point we're ready to rock and roll and produce. And after you have that, super exciting, is when you have your actual product mass produced. And this is how it looks all packaged. So this is the end goal for most of my clients, is to produce small quantity production so they can test out the market and see how it goes. So anyway, there you have it, the importance of a prototype. And if you look below in the description, I have a link to some of my design services, which include getting your prototypes made, getting your first prototype made, that really take you through the process to launching your fashion line. So thank you so much for joining me today. Please, if you liked this video, click the thumbs up. Also, subscribe and click that bell notification for when I upload more fashion videos. And it was really nice being with you guys today, and I hope that really helped you out, understand a little bit more of the process, and stay inspired. Bye.